Well, that's the front page of the Standard this morning. A picture of the president facing away, and we can only see his back. That's very significant from the Standard. They call it the bold newspaper. I don't know how bold this is and what exactly they're trying to communicate. They say panic in the valley. And we'll be talking about that later when you take a look at the newspapers today. This is TV47 Breakfast. Karibu sana. Mengi kuzungumzia, of course, still reeling from the effects or the aftermath of the Ol-Kalou by-elections. A lot of talk about Goonism and MPs defending themselves. And then something interesting happened. Gachagua, the former deputy president, amesema mwachane na successor wake. Amesema Professor Kindiki asibuzwe. What is cooking?
That's a step forward to some harmony in the mountain.
I don't know. A step in what direction? We do not know.
That is, I think that is what the mountain needs. Because unakumbuka Ruto akisema, oh, we need to have Mount Kenya East, Mount Kenya West, but now they're told no, nothing like that.
All right. These are the biggest talking points today. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. Karibu sana.
My name is Annie Odida, and it is the 31st day of July. Barely a week. This week? Ni salary week?
How bad is it?
well, you know, I don't even keep track of salary week.
Oh, really? So that's the first thing you've thought about?
I'm early next week. Oh, tumembiwa ni civil servants ndio wanalipwa mapema.
Na bankers.
Police and bankers.
They get paid early.
All right.
Nyinyi mwingine tutangoja.
All right, let's take a look at how the weather's looking this morning. It's a very cold day in Nairobi, so let's see how that's looking like. All right, it's a mostly cloudy day in Kitui County, 16 degrees this morning, highs of 26 degrees expected there. West Pokot, it's a sunny day today, 16 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees. Light rains expected in Kajiado County, highs of 24 degrees today. This morning, it's 14 degrees in Kajiado. That's as far as Kitui, West Pokot and Kajiado counties are concerned. Kilifi, it's a mostly sunny day, 28 degrees. And the highs expected in Kilifi County today, 24 degrees this morning. Holiday weather in Kilifi. Siaya, there will be light rains, 19 degrees this morning, highs of 27 degrees. And Nairobi, 14 degrees this morning. Doesn't feel like it. It's quite a cold morning here. Highs of 24 degrees expected in the capital city today. And that's the state of the weather. All right, let's come back and take a look at the quote of the day. I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can accept not trying.
All right, so let's take a look at this daily, the Standard today, with a picture of the president walking away. And this is, I don't know, I find it interesting that you could, and it's a very imposing picture of the president facing away towards the new look State House building. So why is he facing away from the rest of us? Why is he facing away from the viewers, from the ones who are consuming this? Against the headline that there's panic in the valley. Yeah? So they say the turnout in Ol-Kalou did more than fill a vacant parliamentary seat. It shook the political bedrock of the Rift Valley. For President William Ruto's inner circle, the by-election result has evolved from a single electoral upset into a political alarm. At the weekend, the president's allies, led by Head of Public Service Felix Koskei, rallied the community to register as voters in large numbers, warning that President Ruto faces what they described as a monumental threat. Yeah, the message was unmistakable. Every new voter card could either reinforce their political base or strengthen the opposition. With the DCP showing the ground is no longer as solid as once thought, the race to register, mobilize and secure every vote has begun, turning the routine exercise of voter registration into the first battleground in the run-up to 2027. And they've done quite some coverage of this, pages 4 and 5, meaning they have a lot to say about what could be happening. And as I earlier told you, it's all about Ol-Kalou. Everyone is changing how they're thinking. All the perceptions that people had politically. I'd seen a lot of content online, people predicting what will happen, and if it doesn't happen, I don't know what will happen next. So kila mtu anauliza
Yeah.
Who's here? Unajua kwa comments unaenda alafu mtu ameandika who's here after the win?
I'm from the future.
So the kind of headlines that we have with the link to what happened in Olkalau. So Olkalau by-election defeat sends Ruto allies back to drawing board, according to the headline. The other one, ODM rules out UDA merger, says it will field its own candidate. Yeah? No, what they're saying simply is that we are not going to merge our parties. We are not going to dissolve ODM. That ODM is still going to be there. We're still talking with UDA. We're going to form a coalition. And we will have to agree on who becomes the presidential candidate, depending on who's a stronger candidate. But you want to quote CS ule wa MSMEs.
Paranya.
Okay, for Paranya. Yeah. Oburu says we are not shaken by poll loss. Sasa na ODM haitaiko pale. Ule alisema ati alikuwa broad-based candidate. Ule alikuwa candidate wa UDA.
Lakini ODM walikuwa wanamsupport.
Walisikia uchungu hapo.
Hapo naye iliuma.
Iliuma.
Wanaambiwa watilie dawa ipenye.
Now, this other it needs time. It takes time.
It will take time.
Why IEBC should be worried by citizens guard the vote move. You saw what people in Olkalau did.
Yeah.
They say they're guarding the vote and they won't allow any vehicle to get inside or even checking the police cops. Now, this story on page 5 talks about why that could be a problem for IEBC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think now that tells them what to expect. So they are going to be strategic and ahead of time.
Yes.
2027. So they know what to expect from
There's a threat from having so many people outside the polling station. Okay, fine, not really inside. Outside, having a mob there. Remember, if that happens in 290 constituencies, we do not have even enough police to man that. So, anyway, hapo kuna shida. Teachers get new salary. This story, I think we'll look at it on a different paper because it's there on the front page of a different paper. Kiambu leaders confront deadly alcohol crisis. It's another story. Yes, so those are just some of the main stories on the front pages of the Standard rather. Back page, we're still talking about the FIFA World Cup after that Spain win. Spain's national team posing there with their trophy upon arrival from the US after winning the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And people are very happy. World Cup heroes Spain return home. And looking at it in numbers, Spain has won this. This is just their second. And their first was in 2010. So they're not doing so bad. So you can read more. You can read more that I'm told they always win by 1-0. But a win is a win.
A win is a win.
Hata wengine wanafunga mabao 6-4. A win is a win. You can read more about this numbers for Spain on the back page of the Standard. Because I know the World Cup fever is yet to go away. Watu bado wanaongea kuhusu kuliendaje. That's the Standard today.
All right. Let's take a look at the Daily Nation now. Untouchables, they call it. 4 days after armed hooded men in flashy vehicles unleashed terror on residents during the Olkalau by-election last Thursday, there have been no arrests yet. Police are also yet to summon the registered owners of vehicles captured in the chaotic scenes, including an MP as well as several individuals caught on camera appearing to engage in voter bribery and other electoral offences to record statements. This has raised questions as to whether the latest investigation will stall like over a dozen others involving violent gangs attacking unarmed civilians. Snail's pace, a team from DCI headquarters still waiting for complaints or complainants to file reports. So they've named these vehicles here on the front page. They say one is registered as a black Mercedes-Benz wagon ML350, but in Olkalau, the same number plate was on a silver Toyota Prado TX. There's also a black Toyota Land Cruiser V8 with armed men, which had been registered under KW 600Q, but a private company says that registration number belongs to its vehicles, a Toyota Probox. There's another one, a white Toyota Harrier bearing the number plate KDX 410K. The vehicle is registered to a company owned by a Pakistani car dealer based in Mombasa. So these are the untouchables, according to the Daily Nation.
Obvious, clear criminality But CS Murkomen said the DCI have opened a file. That's as far as we've gotten. DCI have opened a file.
Yes.
No arrests, nothing. They've just opened a file.
That story is on page 4. Yes.
We don't know if that file has anything in it.
Lakini file is open.
File imefunguliwa. Alisema musijali, DCI wamefungua file. That's it.
Yeah. Other quick headlines on the front page. DPP on how police officers planned Ojwang's killing. That is a murder trail. State prosecutors have told a court the death of teacher and blogger Albert Ojwang in custody followed assault by police officers who sought to cover up the murder. So murder trial for Albert Ojwang began yesterday.
Wow.
Desperate students pose as orphans to get higher university scholarships. Oh wow, 55% is the percentage of students from the most vulnerable households who receive the highest scholarship allocation, with the government paying more than half of their tuition costs and the balance topped up by loans. So tumefika point and now people have to pretend to at least get something.
And actually, people who are able to pay end up getting a lot of these scholarships. People whose parents or guardians are able to pay end up getting a lot of these scholarships at the cost of those who really need it. Which is unfortunate because there are people who really cannot do without these scholarships.
Gachagua to Kindiki's defense. In a surprise development, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has vowed to shield his successor Kithure Kindiki from attacks by his political opponents. That's a story.
And that's a very telling story.
Mbona
ameambia watu waachane. And he was among the first ones to call him what? Soprano.
Soprano, yes.
Alafu amesema no, now let's stop. Why?
Mount Kenya Unity. Right, on page 2, students kill parents for bigger varsity scholarships. Yes, that's how they put it. On page 2, it's the story of how desperate students are missing out on scholarships. On the back page, bigger, bolder, beautiful bats. This is FIFA World Cup review. Underdogs give established powers run for their money to stake a claim at football's grandest stage. Bigger, bolder, beautiful bat. That is Spain. Wanakapoa? Yes. Here they are.
World Cup is a beautiful tournament, I tell you.
That's the Daily Nation. You have something?
There's something on page 8. Construction of Raila Mausoleum in Bondo. It's finally started. And we have party leader of ODM, Dr. Buro Ginga, joining members of a cultural troupe in a traditional dance yesterday. During yesterday's site handover and groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of the Raila Amolo Odinga Mausoleum at Kango Kajaramogi in Bondo, Siaya County. So people have just been visiting the gravesite. Soon enough, it will be a mausoleum. And the rest of the stories there, nothing much. That's a Daily Nation. From the Daily Nation, do we have the Star?
No, today is
it's
a free copy.
Okay. Oh, today is a free copy. So the Star steers clear of a lot of things from Olkalau, like they always do on Tuesday. So today they talk about 100,000 teachers being hired in 3 years. And they say 16,000 jobs on the way. That story is on page 4 and 5 of this paper. The investment has created jobs, improved learning outcomes. And counties that received the highest allocations from all those 100,000, basically in Kitui, Kakamega, Bungoma, Nakuru, Machakos, Makueni, Homa Bay, Kisii, Meru, and Narok. So that story is on pages 4 and 5. You can check it out, see if your county benefited from these new jobs created by the government. Away from that, quick highlights here from Owino Uhuru Slum to the front lines of justice, Shipeta and finished journey. That's a feature there. And Raila's traditional bases feel the strain as ODM top leaders focus on Nyanza. And there's always that feeling, yes, that after Raila Odinga left, that side of ODM has focused more on Luo Nyanza. And anyone else who's not there appears like a rebel. In Western, in Kisii, which were ideally ODM bases. There's a lot of focus on Luo Nyanza and a bit of coast. But anyway, walisema walikuwa Olkalau na hakushindwa. Pale juu political backyard and East grips Matiang'i camp as Gusii allies align with Sifuna. Sifuna continues becoming a problem politically for so many different people. In Western Kenya is already a problem. Now, Matiang'i allies in Kisii are saying, hey, huyu amekuja sana. Sifuna. Sisi ndio Sifuna. So this paper, being a Tuesday, is not for sale, and it comes with a complimentary MyGov pullout for government jobs and tenders. So grab yourself a copy of The Star today, which is fresh, independent, different, and definitely free today.
All right, let's take a look at Taifa Leo. Wahuni waheshimiwa, wanaita ujahili kwamba baadhi ya washukiwa wa uhuni hasa katika eneo bunge la Olkalau pamoja na magari yao ya kifahari wametajwa, ila vyombo vya usalama vimekaa kitako visichukue hatua yoyote ya kinidhamu dhidi yao. Wizara ya usalama na huduma ya polisi kwa hakika wana maswali ya kujibu. It's the same story on the front page of the Daily Nation. Vidokezo zaidi: pigo la linda mwananchi kwa upinzani, kundi la Sifuna laendelea kunyakua vigogo wa kisiasa wa ODM na upinzani. Albert Ojwang aliuawa akiwa kwa polisi, DPP imesema. Upande wa mashtaka wakanusha kuwa mwalimu huyo alikufa kwa ajali. Ruto arejea nyumbani kujitetea, amepangiwa kutoa ngome yake ya South Rift kufufua ufuasi unaoonekana kudidimia. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa 3.
Ni habari hiyo ya ngome yake ya bonde la Ufa, because now it takes people back to the by-elections in Emurua Dikir, where DCP managed to get 10,000 votes. You know, initially it was dismissed as a non-issue. 10,000 votes, it's okay. But clearly there's a problem that such a party, which by then was barely a year old, could go into President William Ruto's backyard and get 10,000 votes.
10,000 is a lot compared to 5,000.
Yes, compared to 5,000. Yeah. So if at all UDA could not get, and UDA initially was got about 80% of the vote from Nyandarua and Olkalau. Now they're only getting 5%. Then DCP, on the other hand, a new party, goes to Emurua Dikir and gets 10,000 votes. Clearly there's a problem. So that is the same panic in Rift Valley. Na iko pale wanasemaje wamehitaji kwa Kiswahili?
Rejea nyumbani kujitetea.
Yes. Enough people from Rift Valley had started complaining that, the president doesn't give us as much time as he gives other regions, or he needs to come back and talk to us. Well, the president is coming. Yes. The other story that I mentioned is what features on both the front pages of the Daily Nation and Taifa Leo about the kind of cars that these people are using, the goons. You know, they used to walk, wanatumia nduthi. Now they have, and they had crude weapons. Now these militias are getting bolder, they're getting fancier, they have bigger cars, newer cars. If you take a look at the number plates, it's KDX, KDW, KD something else. And they have proper guns as well. That's the evolution. And I think one of the cartoons makes reference to that, how they've changed from blunt objects and stones to proper guns.
Interesting. That's Taifa Leo.
Tuangazie gazeti la People Daily, and People Daily has done now an analysis of not President William Ruto. I think a week or two ago, People Daily took quite some time just talking about the kind of generals that President William Ruto has, the kind of CSS he's using for his politics. Now, after that win in Olkalau, they're talking about Gachagua's political generals. And of course, top there, wa kwanza kabisa, ni John Medho. Ule jamaa ameimba huko. I think he's being credited for this win. Everyone is just saying John Medho did this.
I think it's understandable.
He did a good
makes
job.
sense,
Yeah, he was the most visible. I think at some point he was even more visible than the candidate.
Yes.
Yeah. Lakini saa ndevu tu ndo zilikuwa zinafanana. So that is in Nyandarua. He has John Medho. He has Karongo Athangwa from, that's a senator, Kiambu. And then there's Joe Nyoto, Senator Muranga. So it looks like wamejipanga by region, and most of them are senators. Okay, they're fine members of the National Assembly as well. Kamau Murango is from where? Kirinyaga. Yes, he's a senator, Kirinyaga. Jerry Maina, woman rep, Kirinyaga as well. James Gakuya, that's his pointman in Nairobi. Major Donk also from Nairobi. And then Wanjiko Mohia from Nyandarua as well.
Nyandarua?
It's still in Nyandarua. Kipipiri is a constituency within Nyandarua. So these are the main people, and they were very much involved in the campaigns. You can read more about them on page 4. But of course, the one that really stands out is John Medho, the senator for Nyandarua. The choice of young people led by Medho and his team was brilliant. This is according to analyst Professor Gitile Naituli. Away from matters, Regarding Gachagua's politics, William Ruto is up there. Ruto's camp is imploding as allies turn on each other. Now, this is another angle to this story, and it's on page 7, that even as the president feels the pressure to go back and consolidate his political base, which is the Rift Valley, interestingly, the main people who are fighting each other are from the Rift Valley. Leaders within UDA having funny exchanges. You've heard of Nandi Senator Cherargei fighting CS Murkomen constantly. Those two don't like each other. And others, because they're fighting for the supremacy and succession battle once President Ruto leaves, who becomes the next kingpin of the Rift Valley. How Janet Ongera plans to stage a stunning political comeback in Kisii. Janet Ongera used to be a big name. She used to be in charge of, she was chief executive officer of ODM at some point. Yeah. All right. So that's the People Daily.
All right.
People and politics.
Business Daily now. CAK probes supermarkets over misleading price tags, and that is the Competition Authority of Kenya. We have Naivas, Carrefour, Quickmart in price breach inquiry. Watchdog forces retailers to refund overcharged users. You
know what they do?
Yes.
Huh? So they go and put, see, there's always a price tag there. So they put another big one saying big discount.
Yeah.
But it's the same price. So if you look inside, you realize there's nothing that has changed.
Yeah. Ukifungua hapo chini.
Yes, it's the same amount. Yeah?
There's a hidden price there.
So they're saying that is actually illegal. They shouldn't do it.
Yeah. So ukiwapata, you sue. Promotion of products in select supermarkets. We have Carrefour Kenya featured the highest share of healthy items. And this story is on page 2. Very interesting read. Kenya drops US farm plans fall in Nairobi Mombasa Road. That's another one on page 2. On the Thika Court rejects 438% interest on digital loan, and dealmaker Kenny owner of farm that bought Nabo Capital. That's the Business Daily.
All right, let's cross the borders now and take a look at what's headlining in Uganda and Tanzania. In Uganda, they're very slow. So we have this paper from yesterday, the New Vision. They are mourning the death of a senior military officer. He's called Moses Ali, and that's the main headline, Moses Ali. Cabinet to honor general. He was a general in the RPM. What is it called? NRM. I'm a NPF. West Nile mourns. Muslims hold special prayers as family and times. Family speaks out, tributes pour in. So this must be a big general in Uganda who has passed on. And that's the only story I can see on the front page of this paper. We go to Tanzania. We start off with a Citizen. Inside Samia's plan to turn Kigoma into logistics hub. Kigoma, ay Kigoma we. And it's like most of the artists in Tanzania come from Kigoma. Hiyo ni ile bara. Huko. Speaking during the launch of the construction of standard gauge railway linking Kigoma and Tabora, the president said this is the beginning of new trade and investment opportunities in Kigoma. There's also a story on divorce, life after divorce, how to pick up the pieces and move on. That's on the front page. Kenya huwezi pata story kama hiyo kwa front page. We're just different. It's not that we don't divorce, but we don't put such stories on the front pages.
The Star wanatuwekeanga fresh independent different.
Umeiona wapi?
Wanatuwekeanga ni wenye labda right now maybe you guys are not divorcing as much.
Oh really? I think it's actually the other way around. People are really going their separate ways.
Okay.
And doing so noisily. Gazeti la Mwananchi, tukisalia kule Bongo, wahitimu wa vyuo na maisha halisi mtaani. Wanafunzi wa vyuo vikuu na vya kati wako wanafanya mitihani ya mwisho kabla ya kuhitimu. Matumaini ya wengi ni kupata kazi nzuri na kukua kiuchumi. Hata hivyo, haya ndio yanayosubiri. Magumu yanayosubiri kule nje ni mengi, na wameangazia pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Na masuala ya Kigoma, Samia kuifanya Kigoma kitovu cha biashara. Ni habari nyingine pale. Remember that Samia is from the island, Zanzibar. And analysts in Tanzania are always saying the way her position even as president is very tricky. Because mostly presidents in Tanzania come from mainland Tanganyika. Now, you can see she's focusing on mainland, Kigoma. Inasema kitu. Mwananchi. Hayo ndo magazeti ya humu nchini na pia kanda ya kuitwaje huko? Afrika Mashariki. Let's come back home and take a look at the caricatures tuone wanazungumzia nini. And yes, we start off with the one on the Daily Nation, the evolution of political violence. And they started off only at night using stones. Na walikuwa na zile sura tinginya. Misuli si 00. Misuli na sura tinginya. Then now they became the hooded men from holes and potholes using still ancient weapons like arrows and bows. Then now, the ones we saw in Olkalau, wanatumia rooftop ya Prado mupya na bunduki za kisasa, Kalashnikov. Na hata wako na ile megaphone wanapiga kelele, hawajifichi, hata watumii giza. Mutadu. Hapo nimefika. Just look at, at the front page of the Daily Nation or the Taifa Leo. And there's a guy just holding a gun openly, pointing at voters. Very scary.
They're not even covered.
They're not covered. The evolution of political violence. That's a cartoon on the Daily Nation.
All right. The one on the Standard, this is Harry today, and Harry hajatuambia huyu ni nani leo, but he says watch and learn with me. I'm assuming that is now I don't know.
So unajua ni picha nani wewe inawekwa hapo juu ya ni picha ya rais wekwa hapo juu ya blackboard.
Yeah. So okay. All right. So it's
Kwa shule yenu hamko mnaweka picha ya rais hapo juu ya blackboard?
Olkalau election. Learning points, the people are supreme. That is the first learning point. So watch and learn with me. That is, of course, the president watching. And people are supreme.
He's advising Samia. Samia is also in that class, anapewa anaambiwa watch and learn. The people are supreme. Unaona kama anashika?
Alisema mchapo viboko yeye hizi shikanisha.
Mkwaju upande ule na mkwaju upande. The cartoon on the Star, still about Olkalau. And celebrations on one side, of course, Gachagua celebrating, President William Ruto coming second. His deputy ametupa pesa chini, ameweka kichwa mikono kwa kichwa juu afanye nini. Pande ile ngine, people are looking at Gachagua and wondering, okay, now what happens next? With this win, everything changes.
All right, Stano, People Daily talks about the World Cup 2026. Learn to respect the king of the jungle, that is Spain, dragging the goat there. This is Yemao.
This mwenye anadragiwa ama mwenye anadrag?
Huyo mwenye anadrag. Mwenye anadragiwa ni Messi.
Ni Messi.
Mtu alisema alicheza ni kama anachoma mahindi Uhuru Park.
Kwa nini?
Huyo ni Malcolm.
It was his, I think it was his to win. Maybe alikuwa ameambiwa it's going no other way. It's coming to Argentina. Alilia hapo mwisho. All right. So those are the biggest talking points. Of course, people still talking about the World Cup, understandably so. World Cup fever still on. But also Olkalau by-election fever in Kenya, I think, is even hotter.
Yeah.
So the big discussions are in and around what happened in Olkalau, the security then, the fallout, the celebrations, and Gachagua's sentiments that Kithure Kindiki should be left alone. And you know, huyo ndo alikuwa main man huko, point man huko Olkalau, campaign. Kina wachanwe na yeye. We'll be talking about that with my panelists today. And, you know, last week we had these three gentlemen, Bakassi North MP James Gakuya, Joe Mutambo, former MP Mwingi Central, and Joshua Kipto, advocate of the High Court. And they were even placing money on placing a bet on who will win Olkalau. Lakini nafikiri pesa haikutosha. So wakasema watarudi.
So
hawaku place bet. Lakini I'm sure now they are very eager to discuss what happened in Olkalau and whatever else has transpired after that. So,
all right, later we'll be talking about climate action. Let's just see who we have. Climate action starts at home. That is a conversation we're having from 8 to 9 with this young tax, right? Roda Katuleve, John and Fidel Oma, who are environment advocates, both of them.
Yeah. Right. Later on, we'll be having another conversation about innovation and the potential it has to fix an employment crisis in Kenya. And we'll be having this tech-savvy minds, John Wambugu, Masharia Milka, and Gloria Odwor. That coming away from 9 to 10 a.m. So a lot in store for you today on this show. So do stand by for that. And before we give you our social media pages, tuangalie barabarani hapa Nairobi zinakaa namna gani. All right, and the roads in and around Nairobi look like this. Not so bad on the eastern bypass, just a bit of traffic pale Utawala as expected, but slower traffic as you move towards Cabanas. Nothing to worry about, nothing out of the ordinary. Jogoo Road. Jogoo Road iko wapi leo? Jogoo Road, yes, we have Jogoo Road here. And apart from the Makadara stretch all the way to Mbotela, there's nothing else to report there. A bit of traffic at Shauri Moyo as you head towards City Stadium roundabout, but after that, it's smooth all the way past Gikomba and Machakos bus station, building up slowly around Marikiti and areas around Railways bus station as you get into the CBD. Thika Road, on the other hand, is not so bad today. All the way from Ruiro, it is smooth. A bit of traffic at Githurai, but nothing to worry about. It's just Matatu speaking passengers. Similar action, similar scenes witnessed at Kasarani. And then it's smooth all the way up until you get to KCA University. That's when the problem starts. That's where the problem begins. And it's traffic all the way from KCA University to the Pangani interchange. Utali Drift imeshikana kabisa. And it's affecting also Kiambu Road, which has traffic from the DCI all the way past Muthaiga into the Pangani interchange. The other side of town, I don't think there's anything to report. It's green on most of the roads. That's Wayaki Way, Langata Road, Ngong Road, as well as Mombasa Road. So traffic near kawaida. Yeah.
All right, do interact with us through our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X, it's TV47 Digital. You can tag us on our personal handles. Mine is at Annie_Dida.
Mine is at Fred Ndimuli. Use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, the hashtag Story Nietu.
Last time and the first time. Welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair.
It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link Up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair.
It was hers.
You know, yeah.
Yes.
You learn the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi?
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua claims the government has launched a quiet charm offensive to persuade him to return to the Kenya Kwanza fold after the Democracy for the Citizens Party emphatic victory in the All-Kalau parliamentary by-election. Speaking while hosting a section of leaders from All-Kalau, Gachagua alleged that Madeira MP Eric Wamobi contacted him after the poll, urging him to tone down his criticism of President William Ruto.
Akaniambia, mimi nilikuwa mtu yako, ukaambiwa mimi si mtu mzuri. Sijui ukanigeuka ndio mimi nikaenda kwa Ruto. Hata hapa All-Kalau unandanganywa na akina Medho. Wamebadilisha hii uchaguzi, instead of candidate against candidate, they are fighting William Ruto. And therefore they have lost it.
Madeira MP Eric Wamobi later acknowledged that the two have been communicating through WhatsApp, but remarked that Gachagua talks too much and can't keep a secret. In a statement on his social media accounts, Wamobi said it is true that the two have been talking on the WhatsApp messages. Wamobi adding that there is more, including what Gachagua demanded from President William Ruto. The only problem he, however, says is that Gachagua talks too much and can't keep a secret.
So when you lose on Thursday, ukuja utafuta William Ruto. Hiyo kijana alituma message. So mimi naangalia tu na nyamaza. Because mimi nilijua hiyo strategy ya kupigana na Ruto ndio yenyewe. Because the election was between William Ruto and the community.
Gachagua also urged leaders from the Mount Kenya region not to attack Deputy President Kindiki.
Vile wameanza kumulima na nimeona wanampangia. For now. Ndio kama atakuja nyumbani asikuwe uncomfortable. Sasa tungangane na Kasongo. We direct all our fire against Kasongo. Hii Kindiki for now.
Gachagua argued that the by-election outcome sent a strong political message, saying it proved voters cannot be swayed by state influence or campaign spending. He insisted the results had reinforced his conviction that President William Ruto is headed for a one-term presidency. The former deputy president also defended continued celebrations by his DCP party, describing the All-Kalau victory as a defining political milestone for the Mount Kenya region and a signal of growing public confidence ahead of the 2027 general election. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
It remains the biggest conversation, at least in the Kenyan context, since Thursday. That emphatic win by Sami Ngodho Kamau Waweru in the All-Kalau by-election is and continues to be the main discussion on the front pages, and the issues around security, the celebrations, and now the pronouncements that come after that. Definitely something has changed somewhere. For this discussion this morning, as I informed you earlier, we have James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North. Karibu sana, Bwana Gakuya. And allow me to congratulate you. Last week you were here and you were so confident about the win in Olkalau, and it definitely went your way. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Demuri.
Mambo ilikuwa namna gani?
Demuri, mambo si ati ilikuwa rahisi. Things were difficult. But the determination of Olkalau electorate was so tight that they managed to vote and protect their votes. And that was the best thing that I witnessed in Kalau. You know, you need to also to have a team that's a stronger team and a courageous team, because you know these barbaric hooded goons tried their way, but they were repulsed by the electorates. Electorates formed themselves a strong shield, and that shield made the exercise to be smooth. Otherwise, nobody can cheat you. That exercise was managed by the security officers. No. The security was managed by the constituent themselves. And they also made sure that after the voting, they crossed all the centers, and even after these goons trying to force themselves into the centers, they couldn't be able to defeat the shield that was shielded by the Olkalau security voters electoral voters team. Otherwise, I would say the credit should go to Olkalau themselves, because they manage themselves, and there's no single polling station that these intruders were able to intrude. The electorate, the security team, which was formed by the electorate, was able to put barriers all over, and those, because now you could be able to close those barriers.
Yes.
And that's how they were able to protect their election.
Yes. And one of the biggest questions we were asking last week was, okay, what kind of strategy will guarantee a win in Olkalau? And you talk about that guard the vote move. There's a story on page 5 of the Standard talks about why IEBC should be worried by citizens guard the vote move. What happened in Olkalau? So they say the guard the vote phrase has quickly become a defining political slogan in the aftermath of the Olkalau parliamentary by-election of last week, where the main political parties were DCP and UDA. While opposition leaders insist the call was simply about protecting the ballot, this is a Standard, page 5, protecting the ballot from manipulation and ensuring that the people prevail, political analysts see it as a dangerous rhetoric that underlines the dwindling confidence that voters have in the electoral institutions. Do you see this becoming a problem if we continue saying, or if this is a strategy that will be adopted and replicated in the 290 constituencies across the country?
In fact, Demoli, what we have learned from Olkalau is that there is no doubt you cannot have confidence at all with our security going forward. Because, in fact, these hooded goons started terrorizing during the day, around noon, and all through till evening. They were still loitering there, and nobody took any single action against it. 2 people were killed, and they were killed on the road, in the front of the security officers, and they did nothing against that. So this tells you, there is no way now you can wake up to think that you have police officers who will be able to guard an election, and then you are comfortable enough that everything will be well. It is important that people have Kenyans have learned from Olkalau, and this has to be the trend. If you want to win an election, you should not vote and leave your votes unguarded. You must have a strategy of guarding your votes, because today we have a big problem that the state, the security agencies, has allowed themselves to go into bed with goons. These goons are security officers, bodyguards of members of parliament, and equally other officers mobilized from other fields, including forest rangers. they were part of that, those Goonism. So it's a good, it's a big cartel. And a cartel that it cannot be touched, untouchable cartel that can be terrorized with guns, and nobody can be able to touch them. This tells you we can have no confidence again, that we have a state that can be able to protect its people and the property.
All right. Allow me to welcome Wakili Joshua Kipto. Wakili, karibu sana. And you were here on this same panel with Bwana Gakuya here and
Wakili, how are you?
last
Congratulations.
week. Thank you. And Bwana Gakuya was very confident about the win.
I told him there is no 50-50.
Yeah. Bwana Mutambo, on the other hand, and I don't know why, probably that's why he's late for
He
the
will
show.
come.
He wasn't there. But even as you give your analysis of what happened there, it is this guard the vote move that we're discussing now, that it would appear that was the biggest success or something that worked for the people of Olkalau. Do you see this being replicated across and other constituencies in 2027? And do you feel, because now they say it is a concern, especially on the integrity of our IBC, if at all voters decide that this is what we're going to do?
So thank you very much. One, I want to congratulate Governor Gakuya for the emphatic win, which I think he was right in saying that they're going to mop the floor. They actually did it. Secondly, I think when you talk about guard the vote move, it's not the first time we're seeing such a thing. And it's very common and popular during nominations and during when I talk nomination about party primaries, as well as during these by-elections, because you are having an election within a concentrated area or within 1 or 2 spots, not mass elections that we do across all polling stations, 42,000 or whatever they are in this particular country. So guard the vote move come from apprehension, a sense of feeling that the vote may not be free and fair, which I feel it's a very unfortunate situation for our republic, because I confidently thought we had already crossed that Rubicon. We've not had issues of suspicion as to ballot stuffing and what have you. And that's why I'm saying it's a phenomena very common with party primaries. Because for party primaries, they are not conducted by IEBC. And party primaries are run by individual parties, of which they lack the whatever the know-how, not even the know-how, the infrastructure and logistics to guarantee absolute fairness in a vote. I think I've seen movement led by UDA. UDA has successfully conducted party primaries. If I look at the last 2 years, the by-elections that UDA has participated in its own party primaries, it has been free-flowing. They have succeeded to digitize their processes. For example, I can remember Baringo senatorial election. If you look at MP positions for the party primaries in Bere, even in Olkalau itself, so UDA has succeeded. I hope that can be a trend, because if the moment parties succeed to do their party primaries, even DCP I think kind of did well in Olkalau party primaries. So if that happens, then the guard the vote movement no longer becomes a concern. Secondly, for by-elections, because of the nature of the competition, and for by-elections, because it is the time when a government in office is able to test its more or less its waters in various areas. Let me use, for example, Mount Kenya becomes a critical flashpoint because it is increasingly turning out to be an area of concern for the ruling regime. And at the same time, you have an emerging opposition within Mount Kenya. And I think why I kept saying Olkalau is a significant test is because it was the first test where you had DCP facing UDA within Mount Kenya, where the fight is between UDA and DCP. So you would understand the apprehension that now preceded this aspect of guard the vote movement. Number two, there was cases of due to the intense competition and intrigues that led to the by-election, you had either party issuing threats, issuing more or less like loaded statements that if we don't see, we do. So that apprehension was a build-up of what had happened in the past 1 month. So that becomes a concern, and I don't think IEBC should just let it pass, because as we gear towards party primaries, you will see that as a major concern. If party primaries will be done in a particular, and I've been seeing movement. If you look back since 2007, party primaries have always been chaotic. If you remember 2002, when NAC did its first party primaries, you know, NAC was amalgamation of anyone and everyone. It was so chaotic. Tickets were being thrown over the window. elections could only be done for 2 hours, 3 hours. So there has been a significant movement towards the ODM. Elections were always chaotic since 2007. But subsequently, you've even seen ODM itself trying, more or less transitioning away from the chaos and all that. So I feel the Guard the Vote movement is basically a reaction to a problem. So if you deal with the root problem, which in this case is a sense of a guaranteed process, a sense of an objective, free, fair process, I don't think you'll have to guard the vote. So that in Olkalao, as it has been seen, what I feel, and I think I mentioned in this panel, I don't think it's still possible to rig elections in Kenya. The idea of rigging elections is
a lot of apprehension that
that's what I'm saying. It is apprehension, and you'd understand where it's coming from. If there's been cases of violence and intimidation and all that leading to the vote, that's what you expect. But as I feel, once we firmly rule and we put it into action in the last election, that the vote that counts is the one that has been declared in the polling station and pasted. For me, I think that's an assurance of some kind. So that I saw the Guard the Vote movement was just trying to ride on this aspect that as long as it is declared at the polling station. Yes. So I feel the moment we have all polling stations conducting elections, you will not need the idea of Guard the Vote movement. It will be a case of, are we done the voting? Have the agents been given a chance? Because even if you look at what happened in Olkalao, no party agents were roughed up, no observers were refused entrance, media was there. That was a plus. So that this idea of Guard the Vote was basically outside the polling station. It was a case of citizens versus...
It could happen again next year at the general election?
I don't think so. It may happen during the party primaries. For the general election, everyone is fighting for his seat, from MCA to governor to president. So everyone will be focused on, let me even get my voters to come vote.
It's a concern there by IEBC, why IEBC should be worried by citizens Guard the Vote move. But now let's go back to this win by the DCP. Now, for the very first time, DCP becomes a parliamentary party. It'll have its very first member of the National Assembly. You can see those meetings. The smiles are wider. The laughter is in the air. The joy and confidence is palpable. Something has definitely changed with this win. What do you see coming next, Bwana Gakuyan, now with this win? If at all you had lost, it would have been very different.
What I would like to say at the onset is that in every match, including the World Cup, victory is so sweet. Because victory, you go with the cup. And therefore you grab it. And that's a victory, because victory comes with the many goodies. And in terms of perception, it gives you confidence of cruising. And therefore, I would say, after that particular win of Olkalao, the DCP has also gained momentum. They will now be able to confidently move on. And even its base will solidify. That particular loss could costed Gachagua and his Murima, because it had made the voters of Mount Kenya to despair. But as of that win, it has solidified the mountain. And therefore, it's a good plus to DCP as a party. Number two is that don't forget that in Mount Kenya, the DCP does not enjoy the ground alone. We have many other political parties, including Jubilee and many others.
Can you
in this particular result of Olkalao, those other parties has been made obsolete. And therefore, it was a clear statement that this is a party now which can be able to enjoy the fruits of the Mount Kenya region.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm told we finally managed to get Joe Mutambu on phone. The former MP Mwingi Central, he had made a declaration that it was going to be UDA to win the Olkalao by election.
He said he may end that. He repeated it. He may end that.
Those are his words. He said he may end that. And your seat is empty here, Bwana Mutambu, because we really wanted you to talk to us directly here in studio. But good morning, Bwana Mutambu. Karibu sana. Thank you for joining us via phone link. What is your very first reaction to what happened, what transpired in Olkalao?
Good morning, Edie and my colleagues there and everybody who is watching us. My apologies for not making it. I had some other engagement which tied me up. And I'm sorry for not being there. I really wanted to be there to congratulate the winner, because we live in a democratic country, whereby if you are a Democrat, you need to live by it. And democracy is the choice of people you have to accept, and you have to go with it. It is a win to DCP. It's a good thing for them. And like I said, we are in a democratic country, and we accept that they won. Unlike other people who will not accept, me, I will accept, because that's what democracy is all about. Number two, I will not be, and I'll tell Gachagua not to be in the moon over it, because this is just one out of many which they lost. And it does not mean because they lost in Mbeere, they cannot win any other place. Likewise, because we lost in Olkarau, it does not mean we cannot win any other place. So this is what we need to understand. I agree with him that politics is about perception. And a win to a party is a good indicator of confidence by the people for the party. But does not mean that it is all. If you ask me to analyze the whole thing and what as UDA would expect from Mount Kenya, anything above 10 plus is good for us. It's good for Ruto. And if we gain 10 plus, 10% plus, that's exactly what we may be looking at, and it's a good pointer. I would say this is a good indicator that William Ruto will garner 10% plus in Mount Kenya, and maybe that is what he's looking for. That could be enough for him to make him the president. So I will not be so much worried because we lost the seat. I would only be worried if people think otherwise, think that now it's done. There's no hope for Mulima. I can tell you there are other pockets out there which are out for grab. Okay. And this is politics.
But
and like I said, it's like playing football. You win today, you lose tomorrow.
But
life must continue. And you will smile when you win another one.
We're looking
at
the margin.
Cry and mourn the whole part of your life because you lost one seat. Out of all the by-elections, this is the only seat which DCP won, and they deserved it because people of Kalau made a decision.
Bwana Mutambu, we're looking at the numbers and the voter turnout in all the by-elections we've had since last year, and even part of this year, including Emurwa Dikir. The kind of margin witnessed in Olkalao was different. What do you say about that? Is this the final nail on the head of the coffin for UDA in Mount Kenya? A margin of over 30,000?
The way President Ruto was rating in Mount Kenya last 6 months is not the same as rating today. If those calls were called in Olkalao last 6 months, maybe we would not even get 5% or 3%. So to me, I don't feel like it's a huge blow. It's just a win for DCP, and they have all the right to celebrate it. But statistically, I would say that there is a gain at towards UDA. So I will not just look at it myopically and say it's a win and it's done for Mount Kenya. It is not. There are people somewhere else who are feeling that if a by-election is called in this area, we would show that we are with the UDA. So Kenyans are free to make their own choice. And that's why we respect each other. We respect the people of Olkalao. They never did anything wrong. They elected the person they wanted, and that's it. Or what I feel is off the line is when the celebration goes ahead by some of the leaders, including the leader of DCP, calling for like I heard him say he wants to tell tourists not to come to Kenya. And I wonder whether he really feels for Kenyans, because tourism industry feeds many millions of Kenyans. And when he tells tourists not to come to Kenya, I don't know what he's thinking about those Kenyans. Okay. What we need to do is to accept that the DCP won, and we leave it at that, and we move on, but not to overthink or to start inciting either Kenyans or other people, because this country is ours. Okay. And if you cannot love it, then you don't have to be a leader in this country. Okay. So my take is that nothing has changed in my mind. That UDA has some roots in Mount Kenya, right. And it will still remain. And I can confidently tell you, if those elections were held somewhere like maybe Kiambu, things could be different.
All right.
And that is also part of Mulima.
But that question about what has changed, yes, is what is being addressed on the front page of the Standard. They say there's panic in the valley, Wakili. That we've seen after what happened in Olkalao, that even the head of public service, speaking in vernacular, made reference to it and said, now we really have to ensure that we register and protect our votes and ensure our numbers are intact, because Muliona, it wasn't so good on the other side. Something has definitely changed for so many political players.
So thank you very much. I think this is an equivalent of a midterm awakening, in the sense that there's always a sense of complacency that sets in if you keep winning. I think Donald Trump always keeps saying, we have had too much winning until we can't take any more winning. I'm sure you've heard that statement. He says that just to try more or less like balloon the kind of win. And quite a number of times you always find yourself getting into a complacent space. So what I think the Olkalao sobering results has done, not per se in the valley, but within government, political machinery or circles, is that it's a wake-up call. That in Kiswahili they say umdanie CNDA, or something like that. Now there's a clarity about the true state of affairs of Mount Kenya politics. That there's a palpable evidence of shift, and it means then a redrawn map. I've been on record saying that our election going to 27 will be very competitive, and the maps will be drawn and redrawn. Mm-hmm. So what Olkalao has succeeded to do is a redrawn map of Mount Kenya, so that if you juxtapose it with the wins that we've had under UDA within Mount Kenya, before and after Olkalao, because if you look at before Olkalao, they were all wins. Then Olkalao happens, a recheck mode is already sets in. So as a result, you have not per se panic, but a sobering realization that, gentlemen, there is a problem. And where the problem is, Mount Kenya seems not to be okay. It's now outrightly clear that it's a restive constituency, which would mean accelerated efforts towards potential areas of support that can be got. And I could foresee this coming, one, with the death of Raila Odinga. That would mean an open map across the terrain. Then number two, the resurgence of Rigathi Gachagua. I call it resurgence because I thought I saw an interview yesterday or the other day by MP from Nithi, Kareke Mbiuki, and he said, we impeached Gachagua hoping and thinking he will fade away. But now he's resurgent. Mm-hmm. He is leading an onslaught. It reminds me of a war where an army overruns a place, they conquer the place and say it's done. And then slowly by slowly, insurgency spokes up. If you remember the US-Iraq war, the Americans overran Baghdad within 2 months, 3 months. Then a year down the line, insurgency started popping up. Until now, they're on the back foot. So that's exactly what has happened in Mount Kenya, whereby the assumption was that Rigathi is done and dusted with. Then he went out of his way, made noises, cried victim. Then it has been a year and a half or two of guerrilla political fights within Mount Kenya first. And I think he took the approach of running home and declaring himself a Murima spokesperson. And as a result, it has come to a realization that, as a matter of fact, that is bearing fruits to the extent that the hold the government had over Mount Kenya is now under serious threat, and there's evidence. Previously, when we sit on this panel, we would talk about it speculatively. Now we have data and figures. Whatever Gakuya was telling us here, that don't think this is Mbere, you know, that threat is no longer a threat. It's a reality. He tells you, I've given you it at 88%. And the danger is the torpedo effect it may have, whereby if you had Mount Kenya people who are fence-sitters are now starting to realize, oh, we can actually give the government a bloody nose. And that then makes other constituencies very important, which I think going to the next 1 week, the next focus shifts to Western. Western Kenya then becomes a serious political battleground that then can either put a stop to the resurgence of the opposition within Mount Kenya, or more or less like open floodgates. So I don't think it's panic per se, but it's a sobering realization of the fact that there's a fight in 27.
And two papers, at least just before we take a break, suggest that the issue is now in Rift Valley, that the president is now more focused on his base in the Rift Valley. Panic in the Valley, that's a standard. Kwa ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Taifa Leo anasema Ruto arejea nyumbani kujitetea. Rais amepangiwa kutua ngome yake ya South Rift kufufua ufuasi unaoonekana kudidimia. Remember, DStv managed to get over 10,000 votes in the Emuru Dikir.
I think for South Rift, for South Rift is not panic. Every politics is local. So what the president, as I've said, is doing, you're just rearranging your decks, where you say, now we are here. The figures have shown. If Mount Kenya was giving us a comfort zone, it's no longer there. So let us start from scratch.
We'll come back to that.
Thank you.
Let's take a short break. You're watching TV47 Breakfast.
Commitment to the lie. Commit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo tena. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Chief. Na leo mko rada yangu. Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Commit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo tena. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka.
Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimeekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Nikikunywa maji.
Oh my God. You left me.
Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna Wi-Fi.
Why? Hi-Fi? Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
something has definitely shifted after that whole Kalau by-election. 87% win for DCP candidates is definitely something big. It has moved and ensure that every other political player has to rethink their strategy. One of them, according to the papers today, is the president, William Ruto, with the realization that the mountain could have completely eluded him. Now he has to look elsewhere. And one of those places, according to these papers, is his own base of the Rift Valley. They suggest, and this was very telling, the head of public service, Felix Koskei, saying that we need to do better. Kuna shida. Yeah? Acknowledging that there is indeed a problem, and coming from what we saw in Emurua Dikir, which was dismissed as a non-issue by many, now people are relooking at the same again. I'm still in studio with James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, Wakili Joshua Kipto, and still on phone with us is Joe Mutambo, former MP Mwingi Central. Let me come to you, Bwana Gakuya. This definitely, even that win in Emurua Dikir for DCP meant something. Many dismissed it and said that cannot happen, but that would impact even on the presidential vote, if at all a place like Emurua Dikir can vote a different way from their own son, William Ruto.
Thank you, Demoli. One, let me say, as much as my good friend Mutambo want to state that Murima is not completely gone and having at least 10% is still a good show, I would like to tell him that 10% doesn't belong to William Ruto. It belongs to the first parliamentary candidate. I'm telling you for sure, if the contest was between now the Ruto himself, maybe he could not even manage to get 5%. But the candidate himself, just understand he comes and layered from there. And therefore he has his own friends. Probably that is how he garnered the 5,000. But if it comes now the serious battle of the presidential race, even Bele will vote otherwise. Not the way they voted during their parliamentary candidate. And coming to the shift of the game, it is important also to understand that you cannot be feeding the rest of the nation and you are forgetting your territory. And therefore the head of state, this is a statement, and in fact is a waking call, that he need also to get back home and solidify his base. Failure to that, he may face the same land that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta got in the last election. Remember, Uhuru Muigai was a sitting president, but his community defiant, and they failed to listen to him, and they went their own way. And even in the Rift Valley, by the example that we got from Emurua Dikir, is a clear statement that if a new party like this, we can be able to garner about 40% of the casted votes. That's an indicator that even in Rift Valley, there is a vote. There is still a rebellion. And that rebellion, if it's not worked well, it can also show dust to William Ruto. So it's a serious concern. As much as William will be looking for what we call strengthening new bases like Nyanza and Western, he also should also know that he's not the only master in game of this politics. And the opposition, he might, in one way or the other, demeans them. But I can tell you for sure, they're also planning, and they have security weapons. As much as he respects what we call resources and power, Orokarau has made a statement that resources might not work and power might not work. So this is a game he must think as he keep now building the new basis.
Yeah. Allow me to engage Bwana Mutambo. Bwana Mutambo, what next for President William Ruto? I know you say he still has an opportunity within the mountain, but many people are advising him now to look elsewhere, places like Western, even probably Ukambani, if at all he can, and Nyanza region as well. Do you agree that, yes, even for the president, it's time for him to focus on other regions?
True, it is important for him to focus on other regions, but I would not ignore Mount Kenya in totality, because I know the figures in Mount Kenya, and I know somebody can tap something from there. It is true that President need to rethink otherwise, but not in terms of ignoring Mount Kenya, because they are still Kenyans. I want to tell Kagwea, whether you vote for president or you don't vote, whether you like him or you don't like him, he is still your president.
Today,
and he's obliged
today, but not after 2027.
To take care of Mount Kenya as a Kenya. I mean, as part of Kenya. So there's no way president will say, I will not develop Mount Kenya, I will not work with Mount Kenyan
He's
people.
very much welcome.
No, you can. I heard somebody say, fire all Mount Kenyans ministers. No, you don't do that, because Mount Kenya, they are also Kenyans, and they deserve services like any other parts of the country. But
we pay taxes.
Politically speaking, it is very important for president first to rethink or to check. Because, you know, Kagwea will tell you, he's a politician. He'll tell you, there are so many reasons why somebody loses an election. And even the handlers of the campaign could also contribute to the loss of election. So president needs to rethink. And I also want to use this as a pointer that Molima people can easily, and it has happened before with Ngilu, they can tell you this and they do otherwise. And this is where I caution, because I know Mount Kenya very well. They will tell you they are with you, but at the end of the day, they are not with you. And that's why I'm telling my good brother Kalonzo Musyoka to be very careful. He may be deceived, and then tomorrow he finds himself in the bush alone. President was almost certain sure that the people of Olkalau are with him, partly. That one is a clearing, evidence that they showed that we are with you. But at the night, they were speaking another language. So likely, this may also happen to my brother, and I'm a little bit worried for Kalonzo Musyoka, because this show of unity, all being together, and when now people part ways at night, they turn 360 degrees, it may happen to anybody. So Mount Kenya is not a place to run for, and it's not a place you can trust. You can invest your trust on them, that 100% they will be with you. They can easily turn against you, and that is how it is. It happened before in Mount Kenya. It happened before for Musalia. Even his running mate could not vote for him. So it's things we see with Mount Kenya. We love them. They are lovely people. Actually, I'm married from there. Very good people. But when it comes to politics, they have their own card, which they play, which they put under the table. And you cannot predict what Mount Kenya will do. This is what I know about the area. So for the president, he needs to rethink his strategy on the way forward, whether to still trust 100% the people who are handling him on that area, or to find another way of handling Mount Kenya, because it's a very delicate area, so to speak.
All right. Thank you for that. Before we even continue this conversation, because we're trying to gauge the reactions from across the country to the by-elections in Olkalau, let's go straight to Mombasa, where Quinto Wafula, our reporter there, is on standby, discussing with the people of Mombasa on what they feel happened in Olkalau, and going forward, what should they expect. Quinto, good morning. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Fred Indumuli. I'm coming to you live from... Thank you so much once again, Fred Indumuli. I'm coming to you live from Mombasa County. This is mainland. I'm at a place called the Changamwe Roundabout. And here tutazungumzia tu na mmoja kati ya wakazi wa eneo hili, na ambaye vile vile ameonekana katika majukwaa mbalimbali akizungumzia haki za watu mbalimbali, ambaye vile vile tutakuwa naye hapa leo kuweza tu kusikia maoni yake kuhusiana na uchaguzi mdogo wa Olkalau ambao umekamilika. Karibu sana, unaweza karibia tu hapa uanze kwa jina mtazamaji ambaye anakuona kwa mara ya kwanza, jina unaitwa nani?
Asante. Kwa majina anaitwa Bidan Mwachi. Mimi ndio mwenyekiti mkuu wa chama cha madaktari nchini. Na asanteni kwa kuni weka kwenye darubini.
Haya, licha ya kwamba wewe ni mmoja kati umeonekana sana kutetea masuala ya madaktari, tumekuwa na uchaguzi wa by elections, uchaguzi pale Olkalau. Labda kulingana na wewe, general comment, uchaguzi ulikuwa vipi? Kuanzia kampeni.
Uchaguzi ulikwenda kama vile tulivyotegemea uchaguzi wa Kenya kwenda. Tungekuwa kwamba sisi ni wapumbavu zaidi, iwapo kwamba tungesema hakungetokea fujo, tungekuwa kwamba sisi ni wapumbavu zaidi, ingiwa kwamba tungesema kwamba hatukutegemea kwamba pande moja ama lingine watajaribu kufanya ile rigging ama vote rigging. Yote haya yalifanyika Olkalao. Na unajua chaguzi ndogo Kenya ya Olkalao sio chaguzi ndogo mpya. Tumekuwa na uchaguzi ndogo kutoka mwaka wa wanasema kutoka naweza kadiria kutoka mwaka 2002. Kumekuwa na uchaguzi vidogo mwaka 2002 pale ambapo KANU ilijipata kwamba ilivyopoteza zile viti vya uchaguzi ndogo iliweza pia nao kupoteza ule uchaguzi mkuu. Lakini ni yapi ambayo nasema dhamira na taswira sio kwamba unapopoteza chaguzi ndogo inaashiria kwamba pia uchaguzi mkubwa utakuwa. Hii ni tahadhari tu, sio dhibitisho. Ni tahadhari kwa serikali kwamba kuna vitu ama vipengee fulani moja ama nyingine ambayo wananchi hawakufurahishwa, kwa sababu chaguzi ndogo huwa haikui ni uchaguzi wa urais. Huwa ni kama nidhamu ama adhabu ama warning shot to the current president as is running alone, that there are issues ambazo wananchi wameziangalia, wamezipatia kipaumbele, ambazo hazijaweza kuwafurahisha. Na pia vile vile tunajua kwamba by elections have been done, this is like the 10th one, na ile ya Olkalao ni moja wapo tu. Kwa hivyo kwa upande mwingine wa upinzani na saa yangu na kuomba kwamba wasianze kujipiga kifua, kwa sababu yaweza kuwa kwamba uchaguzi hautadhamiria kwa lolote vile mambo ambavyo itakuwa in 2027. Kwa vile ukiangalia mwaka wa 2010 hapo 2013 ODM iliweza kushinda viti vingi sana katika uchaguzi ndogo ama by elections, lakini japo ule muda tu ambapo Jubilee ilijitengeneza kama coalition, tuliona matokeo yalikuwa tofauti kabisa na Uhuru Kenyatta akaweza kushinda. Yes.
Labda mwisho tu nikuulize, labda kutumika kwa hao government machineries kwa kule kwa pia, labda kuna maanisha nini katika swala jumla la viongozi wa serikali kutumika katika kampeni?
Labda nitajirudisha kwa wimbo wa Eric Waraina, nchi ya kitu kidogo. Kenya imekuwa ni nchi ya kitu kidogo, lakini kwa sasa tumepanda ngazi sasa zaidi. Sisi ni nchi ya tabia mbaya. Hizo ni tabia mbaya ambazo hazifai kutumika kabisa, kwa sababu what they do is that they threaten the mwananchi. However, kama itachukua chaguzi ndogo ndio tuweze kupata maendeleo kwa kila eneo jumbe, basi ningeomba kwamba kwa jinsi vile wananchi wako na zile power za kurecall MPs, tuwe tuna recall MPs midterm ndio tuweze kuwa na chaguzi ndogo kwa all the 290 constituencies, ndio tuweze kuwa na serikali ikituwajibikia.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Asante sana Fred Ndumuli. Hayo ni maoni ya baadhi ambaye ni mmoja wa kazi wa eneo hili. Tumekuwa na wengi hapa lakini wameendea, lakini si neno. Ni maoni yake hapo. Anasema kwamba tuweze tu kuhakikisha kwamba kama taifa tunajiandaa vilivyo na tuhakikishe kwamba mikakati ambayo inachukuliwa ni mikakati ambayo inahakikisha kwamba taifa litashuhudia usalama, kwamba uchaguzi huja na uchaguzi unaenda. Ni Abidan Mwacha ambaye tumekuwa naye hapa katika kaunti ya Mombasa. Mimi ni Quinto Wafula, naregesha kwa studio Fred.
Asante sana Quinto Wafula, ripota wetu pale Mombasa, kizungumzia hali ilivyokuwa Olkalao na pia some of the comments by people in Mombasa on what transpired. We continue discussing the aftermath of that. Okay. And Wakili, you wanted to add something about what happened in South Rift.
I think you mentioned, and Gachagua, I think they have also been carried away with the win to the point they are now mentioning that Rift Valley is under threat, which I think is not the case per se. There can be restiveness, there can be disaffection, just like in Mount Kenya when they have their own internal domestics. We can have ours, but ours hasn't gotten to that level. You have a case of, as I've said, a rearranged decks. And in every political contest, when a loss happens, always keep an eye on the loser. The winner gets carried away, and that is kind of the situation with the DCP brigade. Now, for the UDA team under the leadership of the president, what has just come to the fore is, let's put all the cards on the table. Now we are here. As I've said, Olkalau is basically a reality or sobering reality as to where the figures are, how the outlook looks like. So for the Rift Valley, the main concern would be a case of being a bedrock support area of the president. It would mean a case of how do you guarantee turnout? But importantly, how do you guarantee the numbers matter? And number three, in every political contest, because now IBC announced outrightly that we are 1 year into the next general election. So all parties are out there trying to do, the opposition is trying to come up with their candidature. The government or the ruling party has a candidate. So the candidate then will start not looking for a candidate, but would be looking for where his votes are. So why then does the rift becomes more or less like a point of story, not panic? It becomes a point of story because for Rift Valley, the question would be, are there unfulfilled promises? Are there unfulfilled things? And I think this is also a wake-up call to the leadership within Rift Valley to then step up. I feel it's unfair to expect the president to come back home to be the person again to deal with domestics. That doesn't work. What then calls is, it's more or less like an internal conversation where it would be like, all the leadership that we've had, whether governors, whether senators, whether MPs, it's a realization. In fact, I keep saying the devolved county governments within the Rift Valley, this is their time to showcase what they have done as part of complementary efforts to the presidential efforts, so that you don't expect the president to come again, for example, to Nandi County, to start saying this is what I'm supposed to know. It should be a combination of some kind. South Rift is also critically important. That is Kericho, Bomet, and Narok, because you have the Kipsigis flowing over into Narok. So what then happens? Are there issues that remain unsolved? Are there promises that remain unanswered? Now, this is the time between now and December, which I think the burden should shift to the leadership. The burden should shift to the appointed leaders. It should be to the rest of us who can contribute rather than the president. So that the president should only be coming to be given more or less like a plan and told, this is where we are, this is what is needed, and this is what can be done. So what happens therefore is, if the president is able to have a restive Rift Valley more or less at par, which then gives more or less like a platform or a springboard to go elsewhere. Now look at how Rift Valley becomes important. Rift Valley is next to Western Kenya. Rift Valley is next to Nyanza. Same with Kisii. Foreseeing more or less like a recreation of a Western Alliance of kind of a thing. A Western Alliance cannot be a reality unless and when Rift Valley is at check. 207 that happened. And importantly, if I'm to use a practical example, if you look at the design that was done for the railway that goes all the way to Malaba, you can see a magnanimity that runs through the South Rift all the way to Malaba. So for me, I think it's a turn where the president now is showcasing. I don't think he's done marketing enough for what has been done and what is in offering for this region that runs all the way to Western, which I keep saying Western becomes a critical component in this DEX. So how do you get to Western? How do you secure Nyanza, which has both Kisii and Low Nyanza? That path runs through Rift. And when you talk about Rift, I hope you know it runs from Nakuru all the way to that side. So what happens basically is the president with a resolute focus trying therefore to realize that the western side of the country becomes his critical political bedrock, and that begins with Rift Valley. So the moment he has enough guarantee that all the issues and domestics have been concerned, because you can't move forward unless your rear is covered. Okay. So his rear at the moment then remains Rift Valley, and that is what is going to happen. But again, the burden lies on the local leadership.
All right. Back to now issues around Olkalau and who probably is going to suffer the most. One of the probably casualties appears to be, and I'm just looking at what people are talking about, is Professor Kithure Kindiki. And for the first time we hear Rigathi Gachagua come out and say, let's hold our horses, no more political attacks on Professor Kithure Kindiki. You are very close to, very close to Rigathi Gachagua. What informs this? What has changed? Is it all about Olkalau?
Edemole, what I would like to say is that East or West, home is best. And don't forget that Kindiki is also a son of Mount Kenya. And if in one way or the other, Gachagua might feel that they are fighting the wrong person, and they should concentrate fight to the main goal.
He was leading the fight himself. Those calls for Saprano were all from Rigathi Gachagua. What has changed?
Edimuli, I think at one of good times, make a conference with Gachagua himself. He will be able to tell you exactly.
So even you don't understand what's happening?
Oh, because for sure, I may not lament here in this camera. And that one I would like to ask you to do your own investigation, or else make a press conference with Gachagua. He will be able to express his mind and reasons why. In fact, Gachagua has also declared those who are in UDA and they are willing to come back, the doors are open. So he's not fighting anybody who belongs to Mountain. If you think that in fact you feel that your future politics are in danger, just close, and you'll be received back home. Yes, and that tells you that he's removing that element of hatred. And now he's welcome.
But Moses has been declared an outcast from the community.
I don't think he's removing, and he won't remove. One thing that I want to whatever, just to butt in briefly, Rigathi cannot change. His toxic brand of politics cannot change. He will, for a moment, look, it's a strategy. I don't think that he's toning down his talk around Kithure Kindiki. It's a chess move he's making. The moment we've lost in Olkalao, that means the UDA brigade appear vulnerable. And when they are vulnerable, what Rigathi is doing is trying to encircle them. He encircles them like it's a time of surrender. He's telling them, now you've surrendered, now we'll take care of you. So it's not that he's changing his toxic politics. No, he's basically encircling them. It's like, I've completely vanquished you. Now the best you can do, you can whimper and be calm, just be good boys. So if I were Kithure Kindiki, I can't fall for that. Because the moment now Rigathi says, no, don't touch him. He's like saying, we have vanquished them. Now they're no longer a concern to us. Another thing, it's a chess move towards Mount Kenya East. Because if it is seen that the vitriol from the West targets the East, it can lead to acceleration of the convention that can you be able to create some wedge between East-West. And Rigathi is basically trying to pull a chess move of forestalling that by saying, no, we have no problem with our brothers from the East. So it's a chess move. I don't think he's changed. And for him, his toxicity will remain. In fact, if you've seen what he's done the last 3-4 days, I actually empathize with politicians from Central, because going forward, what Kenyan political system is trying to crash in terms of an individual who kind of calls for a case of political slavery, where you have to come worship at the feet of that political god. You know, with the death of Raila Odinga, there was a sense of feeling that now the era of political kingship, because it was Raila, it was Uhuru Kenyatta, and I think even the president, I want to credit him. He is not enslaved the rest of us here in Rift Valley. He's left at be. That's why our nominations are very competitive. Whoever wins nomination is a popular candidate in Rift. But Rigathi is recreating. He's taking us 10 years back. Remember the days when Raila would be the law. Like someone loses a ticket in Luo Nyanza. But as long as he's been given a ticket and Baba says it's over, I think Rigathi is trying to recreate the same in Mount Kenya. I really empathize for candidates. In fact, with the Olkalao win, the biggest casualties are the politicians within Central. Gachagua is very lucky because him is a stalwart.
The UDA,
he doesn't need to.
Which politicians are you talking about?
Whether UDA or aspirants, now they will be, I can assure you in Demuli, after Olkalao, the stocks of DCP in Central would mean the roads to Amonyoro will be busy. Every candidate has to go pledge allegiance.
Okay. Yeah. Bwana Mutambu, are you still with us? Do we still have Bwana Mutambu on phone?
Yes, I'm still around. I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. We're now talking about the casualties of that by-election, and many people are talking about the elected leaders from UDA in Mount Kenya who showed up there and are now feeling the heat for failing to deliver for President William Ruto. You've had a statement by the former deputy president even saying Kithure Kindiki, there should be no attack coming from the DCP side towards Kithure Kindiki. He's also revealing apparent attempts by some of those elected leaders who have apparently tried to reach out to him to tone down on President William Ruto. What do you think is happening here? Do you feel that those elected leaders from Mount Kenya with the UDA party are probably the biggest losers?
I think what the casualty here is not only leaders, not only politicians of Mount Kenya, but also people of Mount Kenya. Gachagua is trying to to build himself to become a semi-god for those people. That anything he says is law, anything he says is final, and every person in Mount Kenya must listen to him. He tends to behave like he don't want to let people have free mind, freedom of speech, freedom of association. He wants to be the kingpin of Mount Kenya, and any person must kneel before him for them to survive politically. When you hear him talk about extending a hand to Kindiki, he's just being cunning. He is not being sincere. He's trying to show that, I'm also a good person, and if I tell people not to abuse you, they will not abuse you. If I tell them to abuse you, they will abuse you. This is the statement he's making to Kindiki. He's trying to tell him, mimi ndio kusema Mount Kenya, and anything I say is what people will follow. So the victim here actually is not only the politician, but also the people of Mount Kenya, because if you don't toe his line, then they brand you as either a traitor or another kind of brand they would want to give you. So this is very dangerous, actually, for people politically and also democratically, because he should let people be. He should let Gachagua be. He should let Kindiki be. He should let other people be wherever they are. And like Wakil has put it very rightly, that we have seen this happen in Luo Nyanza, not only in Luo Nyanza, also in Ukambani. It happened. I am a victim to this, where people proclaim themselves to be semi-gold and they are the one to be worshipped, and anything they say is what people should follow. And this is not democracy, Idimoli. This is not democracy. This is suppressing people you purport to be leading, and it is very wrong. It is actually slavery, political slavery. This is what is happening in Mount Kenya now, and this is what they are building without them knowing. It will come a time whereby nobody will have a say in Mount Kenya but Gachagua. This is very wrong politically, and I'm saying and I'm repeating it. Okay. And this is what I'm seeing. So if you're asking who is the casualty here, is the people of Mount Kenya, politicians, including the citizen of Mount Kenya who lives in Mount Kenya.
In the same vein, Bwana Mutambo, in the same vein, what about the position of Professor Kithure Kindiki as the preferred running mate choice for President William Ruto next year? Because many other people are now saying, okay, fine, you failed to deliver Olkalau. I think the next running mate should come from Western, probably, or Nyanza.
I don't think that threatens the position of Kithure Kindiki, because Kithure Kindiki also commands some constituencies. And I told you, Edie, let us not look at this win as if the heaven has come down traveling down to Mount Kenya or to people who support President Ruto in Mount Kenya. No, it hasn't. The heaven is still where it is, and the people are still where they are, and everybody still owes their faith and belief and their freedom of association. So I don't think there's anything wrong or anything which will affect the stand of the position of Kithure Kindiki, because as it is, there are still loyalties who are there. And like I said before, it is not only Kithure Kindiki who was managing this campaign. There are other people who are also involved in it. And the president is also a politician, and he understands all these things. He knows that who bears the responsibility, not Kithure Kindiki alone. And also, we also need to give credit where it's due. We need to understand this is the area, the county of Senator Medu. And it's like coming to Mwingi and say that Trump will not deliver. I mean, if I'm a serious politician, I need to guard my base and I need to deliver my base. So Medu delivered his base. That is a reality. And we need to understand that politics is local, like it has been put. And I remember Wakili said it is actually not the responsibility of the president to go to his home yard. He has people who are supporting him. It is their responsibility. Likewise, to take right to your question about Kithure Kindiki, yes, he is the person in charge of that region, the high-ranking officer, government officer in that region. He is the one. He has some responsibilities to carry for him. But the truth of the matter is nothing will change because of this Olekalau win.
Okay.
But Mutambo, in my introduction of the remarks made by my good friend, first and foremost, let me tell him that as much as we have kingpins, these kingpins does not enslave their constituents or their constituencies, because people has freedom to make choices. But in what we call political game, political strategy, every single political leader must find mechanisms on how to muscle the votes to go in a block in his own base. Otherwise, what are you doing? If you are a preacher who has no fellowship, you must be a preacher who preaches to a congregation. And in this case, Gachagua is not out there to enslave the Mount Kenya region, because they are still independent to make their decision. But in terms of where we are heading, we have not forget that we are heading to an election, which is a general election. And as a central region, we have to have a stand. You cannot have a stand, you have no king, or you have no leader who can be able to speak to people and listen a direction that we want the people to take. And in this case, that's even what Ruto does. Before Ruto became the president, even the deputy, first and foremost, he made sure that the Rift Valley is a united Rift Valley. And that's how every wise leader must use as a mechanism to have a strategy to win a particular race. In this case, I would say, Mount Kenya, they have to look for their destiny. In fact, they already judged, because don't forget that actually they elected this current government on a daylight and with a lot of confidence that William will respect that particular exercise. And it is very true that if Murima could not work with William Ruto in the last general election, Ruto could not be able to secure the threshold required by our constitution to attain to become the president. And I think it is very true. If there's a betrayal anywhere in the middle, that betrayal must be treated as a betrayal. And nobody can come today and say that Mount Kenya is forcing a rebellion. It is a rebellion that was caused, because who caused that particular rebellion never saw the light at the end of the tunnel. They did show that short term. They never focused on the longer term of this particular train. And if I was wise as head of state, I could not have allowed the division between Murima and the ruling at that point in time. I could have waited to see the light of the second term, so that you can rebel now that second term. Now, the rope is just, in fact, let me tell you, this particular Karao vote may, in one way, injure William very badly, because now people has known that, oh, we can eat and go home. We can eat and go and decide otherwise, and nobody can be able to run for us. And therefore, it's a smoke that might injure his future campaign if he relies on resources. Okay. I think what William should do from now is not to take this matter lightly if he is really focused on winning a general election. And as a strategist, he must know which buttons he must also work out. I agree with Mutambo that Mount Kenya region require services. They require service from the government. They elected this government. They are taxpayers. You cannot be able to deny them what we call services. So development, they require them, like yesterday. And today, we have a very good constitution, Dimuli, which gives you what we call freedom to exercise everything, including developments can find you even when you are in opposition. Remember, today our constitution is crafted on a manner that the resources devolves itself to the constituencies, to the counties freely. And therefore, any single leader who is at the top cannot stop those kind of development to particular areas that are designated to. Okay. And in this case, we are now at the critical point where we we are now heading to the critical date of 2027. And what I'm saying, William should not ignore.
Okay.
I think Mutambu, there's something, you know, why we are saying that political slavery, it is because there are some aspects that are always associated with this kind of notion. And that's why I kept saying it is the politics of our yesteryears. We thought that with the exit of BAMBA, Uhuru Kenyatta, the era of kingpins where they would actually get away with things would happen. Another very important aspect that I picked up during the celebratory move by DCP is the kind of statements the former deputy president mentioned. He went into a tangent which reeks of 2002, where you would not even in the 90s, where people would always have what I call people would have outright lies and distortion to drive a particular narrative. Why I'm saying so is because in the 90s, they would even say the government seeks to poison milk for some political area because they are anti-government. In 2007, the same thing happened. In 2012, for the political duo of Uhuru and the current president to win, they came with a lot of, there was a lot of distortions around ICC. Now, Rigathi is trying to recreate it I heard him saying that, one, the sons and daughters of Mount Kenya have been sacked. Total lie. He says they have been sacked from KRA. Total lie. The chair KRA is from Mount Kenya. When you talk about the police service, says they have been taken out from the police service. Who is the head of police? The Inspector General is Kanja from his own backyard, Nyeri. When you talk about the head of army, in this case the CDF, it's Kahariri, again from Central Kenya. Then you talk about our people have been, the biggest majority of cabinet secretaries are from Mount Kenya. The biggest number of PSS are from Mount Kenya. The biggest number of CEOs are from Mount Kenya again. So the distortion paints at a case of you are galvanizing a community around victimhood, which I think is a very dangerous scenario because going forward then, you hem in a community, you put them under a helmet of lies, then it becomes a narrative. So you are forcing the rest of the politicians also to rally around that, even where there is no truth around it. So I don't know how that then pushes forward this particular agenda. Importantly, as I keep saying, every political loss gives, there's always two sides of of a coin, where we have action, reaction, as Phases would put it. The action bit would be, yes, the DCP can gloat over the win. But on the reaction bit, as you've seen, there's always the power of resilience going back, just like the way the DCP candidate or the DCP party leader was chased out, his resurgent, his comeback, is the same way the president and the ruling coalition will basically pull back. It's like pulling back the bow of an arrow and then saying, okay, let the game begin. Okay. I think I actually want to laud the deputy president, Professor Kindiki. He gave it in a very magnanimous, nice way, where he says it's 1-1. Mbeere North 1, Olkalau 1. So the game is halftime. Okay. So we have a second half remaining. But my biggest ask would be, and I would ask even Gakuya to whatever, to give assurance, is that for the candidates, for the downstream candidates, me and him are contesting for governorship races. We are confident on the UDA side of the fact that our nominations, and as you've seen how UDA has been running so far so good, you can have a semblance of confidence. I don't know if DCP can give the same to their candidates, because the moment now you are galvanizing a region, I'm sure even for him, being the leading candidate in Nairobi for DCP, I'm sure candidates will be running to his doorstep, asking him, please assure us. He'll be the one now taking homage on behalf of Omunyoro. So my only ask would be, if indeed we have already transitioned from the politics of political slavery and kingpinship, then let us focus on openness. The same way they were fighting for more or less like guard the vote. Yes. Let it then apply in our political parties and primaries.
Because of time, I would want us to briefly, as you make your final comments, talk about the violence we're witnessing, wahuni waheshimiwa, untouchables on the Daily Nation. These are the people actions we saw. And one of the cartoons talks about the evolution of the goon, that they were using stones and blunt objects. They moved to arrows. Now they're using guns openly on top of very sleek Prados and other big vehicles, like was witnessed in Olkalau, and without consequence. Bwana Mutambu, please briefly, in about 2 minutes or so, talk about that as we come to a close. Bwana Mutambo, are you still with us? All right, it would appear we've lost Bwana Mutambo. So, Bwana Gakuya, let's start with you. What we witnessed in Olkalau as far as police or goon action and the kind of violence that was not really necessary on the streets of Olkalau.
It is very true, Idimoli, that this country is a country which is a democratic country, a multi-party country, where the rule of law should take the lead. But it's unfortunate that we have sunk to be a country where goons has taken charge, and the agencies that are supposed to deal with the goons seem to have already in bed with the goons. And therefore the country is on a very serious awkward situation, because we trust that as taxpayers we pay taxes to security officers so that they can secure the country, they can secure people, and they can secure property. But in the course of our current days, we have witnessed that goons are patrolling and they are commanding the streets of Nairobi, everywhere, and they can be able to like businesses anywhere. They can be able to make havoc in churches, and including to such that kind of a by-election where, on a day right, they are there and they are not even in a pedestrian way. They are there with the troops of unmarked vehicles. This tells you this country has sunk very deep in terms of confidence of being secure. And it's only the state which can make the country secure. Otherwise, the battle. Today, the same goons that the state thinks that they are afraid today, tomorrow they can be against them. And therefore, I would say, put the country into a clear roadmap. Make this country governable. Because when you put this country to the mess of goons, what kind of confidence do you think that this country, everybody will be feeling insecure, including yourself, Idimuli, and including myself. And what we should urge is that should the state desist completely to be in bed with the goons and use the security agencies to the jobs they are entrusted to by the Constitution.
Right.
It goes, Idimuli, just understand that our agencies are converted to be goons. Those the guys that are using guns, those are not no more civilians. Those are trained officers. And in fact, it's wrong when we are at that particular level of a country. A country like this, Kenya, is a country where we require safety, and everybody, including any foreign who comes here. And when Gachagua is calling the tourism to stop, is by this kind of show that who will be secure if the country, even the locals are not secure in their country.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And I think Wakili go next so that Bwana Mutambo can prepare his final comment again in 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think for the issue of political goonship, and we mentioned about it, the state is expected to be the only institution of the party with monopoly of violence. It is given by law. Any country that respects the rule of law and is governed by the rule of law operates under such timeless creed that only the government or the state are the one expected to exercise state monopoly over violence, which in this case would be exercised within the restraints of the law. So when you have individuals taking the law into their hands, and as I've said, it's a two-way traffic. When you have politicians choosing to rely on private security, goons, as well as individuals to be able to, to exercise this monopoly over violence, then it then calls to question whether, again, the country can still operate and state with confidence that we are a country that is governed by rule of law. So I would ask that, one, on the part of the politicians, it's incumbent upon ourselves to completely abandon the idea of goonship. You can have body security and the rest, basically for protocol purposes, for marshalling, but it cannot be the basis of settling political scores. It cannot be the basis of dictating the freedom of another to assemble or to even to address or even to speak. On the other part, as I had mentioned, I think in my previous segment, the police have a responsibility as an institution. The president has been on record saying that he believes in independence of institution. The police service has zero excuse. The entire security apparatus has zero excuse. They are given independence by the constitution. They have an administration that has given them a leeway to exercise their operational independence. What became of their intelligence gathering mechanism? What has become of their operational manual as well as action? Because they are expected to be on the front foot, not on the back foot. They should not be caught napping. It doesn't need, for example, for pictures or videos to emerge online or members of the fourth estate to bring to their attention for them to act. Okay. So I feel the police service owes the country a responsibility to bring, because they are the ones mandated by the constitution and the law. So if we have a combination of the two, the politicians, citizens also not accepting to participate, but importantly, the police service exercising their mandate without fear or favor.
Thank you so much, Wakili. Bwana Mutambu, you go next about the incidences of violence and goons used in Olkalau. As your final comments, 2 minutes only.
First and foremost, it is good to appreciate the work the government and the police are doing. Number two, I can tell you, Idimuli, without fear of favor, that the mother and the father of goons are politicians. Take that to the bank. The people who organize, who arrange, who pays, who keeps the goons are politicians. Starting with Mutambu, Kakuya, whether he likes it or not, and others. Because we are in that class. We are the people to blame squarely 100%. It is not the government. The government only comes in to fight what the members or what politicians have organized. Let us get that one clear. So the people who should be listening to this message is the politician. Please stop organizing goons. If politicians can stop doing that, then this country will be in a better place in terms of security, whether goons and the rest are involved or are concerned. So I will not blame the police, because police don't sit down and organize for goons to come. It is the politician who does that. It is the politician who pays for goons. It is politicians who keep or even pays rent for goons. So politicians, this is my call, and this is what I'm asking you to do. Drop the goons, and there will be no violence in any area. All these things we saw was organized. Nobody came to fight. They were organized, they were paid to do that, and to them, they are doing a job. And you see, we have so many idle youth who are doing nothing. And when somebody comes and offers them 500 shillings, 1,000 shillings, they will go to perform that duty. Okay. Doesn't matter which kind of duty. They will do it the best way they know how. And it will not be orderly. It will be chaos. So for it to stop, it must start with the politicians to stop hiring them, because nobody will do it without getting paid.
Asante sana. Joe Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, and Joshua Kipto, advocate of the High Court. Asanteni sana for your message, especially on the violence, because even here, we have a message. With exactly 385 days remaining until the August 10th, 2027 general election, Kenya is already witnessing warring acts of violence on the campaign trail. The Kofi Annan Foundation's Electoral Vulnerability Index has issued a damning assessment, placing Kenya at over 84% risk of election-related violence. The report highlights how ethnic mobilization, deep mistrust, and historical grievances continue to threaten the peace and integrity of our electoral process. We ignore this warning at our own peril. We must unequivocally condemn the growing use of violence by political actors. Hooded goons, armed with serious weapons, have no place in our democracy. These hired thugs are being deployed to attack opponents, disrupt rallies, instill fear in voters, and settle petty political scores. Such brazen criminality undermines the very foundation of free and fair elections. We direct particular condemnation at those charged with the country's security. The government and police have a solemn duty to protect citizens and uphold the rule of law. Their inaction, selective response, or failure to decisively apprehend and prosecute these armed gangs is deeply troubling and erodes public confidence. Impunity only emboldens the perpetrators. This cannot be allowed to happen, not in Kenya. Kenya has paid too heavy a price in the past for violence to be tolerated again around elections. As we head into a full election year, we call on all politicians, their supporters, and every Kenyan to embrace sobriety, dialogue, and respect for the Constitution. Let us all reject the politics of goons and weapons. Let peace, decency, and the rule of law define our campaign season. Our children and our future depends on this. And that is our editorial comment this morning.